Boys, we're back talking about some Red Dead 2, 10 new things discovered by fans. Now this is a little bit of an old video, but I just wanted to see if there's anything that I haven't seen before, because there's tons of stuff on Red Dead that people are honestly still discovering to this day. And some of you may know Red Dead is probably like my #1 game of all time, so I would love to make more videos on this game, and I would love to start playing this game again, because I didn't realize how much it was actually still not really thriving, but the community is really strong, so they're not letting the game die. Anyway, boys, let's get right into it.
Red Dead Redemption 2 is still going strong. From people diving into that world for the first time or the 10th time, or people playing online, there's always new fun discoveries being made. We've got 10 cool things to talk about. So let's get started off with number 10. Everybody knows at this point the UFOs in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah,
you know, if you check out this creepy abandoned building called Hani's Bethel at 2 a.m., you can see a UFO hovering in the sky above you. It's really cool. It's really shocking. It eventually flies away. And for the most people, that's the end. Not for Tagback TV. Shout out to him making a YouTube video showing what happens if you shoot the UFO instead. Using explosive arrows, it looks like you can do some pretty heavy damage to the thing, which is surprising. You know, most players assumed it wouldn't have a hitbox at all. If you manage to hit it, then there's actually some debris that seems to fly off. That might just be part of the explosive arrow's explosion effect rather than really something tied to the UFO, but it's interesting either way. We've seen people report online about this making it sound like the UFO crashes when you shoot it, but that's not really the case. It's more like it just kind of bugs out. It's still pretty cool. It's probably not intentional. The explosive arrows seem to just be breaking the UFO's scripting somehow. At this point, Rockstar players are trained to see weird secrets everywhere, so it's no surprise that someone actually tried blowing up the UFOs, if only to just see what might happen. Next, over at number 9, one of the oldest unsolved mysteries in Red Dead Redemption 2 is the legendary Catfish, which was explicitly said to be in the game by the official Red Dead Redemption 2 Prima guide. The problem was, nobody could actually find it. And then they just tried about everything to try and get this apparently 200-pound monster to appear, to no avail. The only real evidence of this thing existing in-game was a stranger mission for a guy named Jeremy Gill, who wanted you to catch a bunch of legendary fish for him. After helping him, the quest ends with him getting pulled under by an apparently gigantic fish, never to be seen again. Most players assume that this event would then trigger the Catfish to now be available to catch, but no, it still wouldn't pop up anywhere. It took Red Dead Redemption 2 to release on PC before anyone could actually get a good look at this thing. A YouTuber named Mr. Boss FTW managed to find files for a channel catfish in the game's files and managed to make it appear in-game. It doesn't look quite right, though. You know, clearly this thing wasn't meant to actually be seen, but it has been found, and we'll link all the sources down in the description below. Yeah, this whole catfish thing ended up either being some cut content or something that was never intended to be in the game in the first place. Still, the fact that someone managed to actually get a decent look at this thing is really cool, and we're always going to highlight and celebrate stuff like that. Next, over at number 8, another unsolved mystery in Red Dead Redemption 2 is pretty bizarre. According to a poster at the Van Horn Trading Outpost, the Princess of Luxembourg is missing, and there's a bounty to find her. There are a few clues here and there in the game, but very little definitive information about how to find her. But the whole thing is so odd that people just assume that there has to be more to it. On top of that, a customer support person for Rockstar went so far as to say, yes, she was in the game and it's possible to find her. Of course, if you're into Rockstar mysteries at all, you know that customer support people aren't exactly the most credible sources on things like this, but still, it's an official source, technically, saying that a mystery is unsolved. For a long time, nobody made any progress, leading folks to believe that there wasn't really anything to this. That is, until a Reddit user named Danny Maz showed up with footage of them, and I quote, playing as the princess, or IKZ as she's known by the fans. It's her initials. Using a mod to swap models, they managed to find her model in the system files and show it off. Now, she doesn't look much like the character on the poster, but that can be justified by her being missing for a long time. Most players in the thread for this rightly assume that she's just cut content, but with this revelation that her model does exist, it's possible that she's hiding somewhere in the world, just waiting to be found. Next, over at number 7, here's another late discovery as summarized by the Red Dead Redemption 2 YouTuber Strange Man. An unusual audio file simply called River Monster was found in the game's files. If you listen to it, it doesn't really sound like a river monster at all. It's got more of a weird alien thing going on. but it pretty clearly implies that there was going to be some kind of monster implemented in the game at some point.
Bro, that would have been so
files,
fucking
it's pretty
scary.
Obvious that this Easter egg never really got far off the ground. Apparently, it was going to have a model, but the actual data is pretty much all missing, meaning that they didn't get too far into development with this thing. Considering all of the supernatural stuff already going on in this behind the scenes in Red Dead, that would make for perfect sense to throw in like a weird Loch Ness sea creature into this game. But it looks like they didn't get much further than the planning stages for this guy. It's unfortunate. Either way, it's another cool find and reveals another thing that could have potentially been in the game. Now over at number 6, here's a grim secret that was found by fans. Now at the end of the game, you play as John Marston and you assault Micah's mountaintop hideout. This place is remote, totally barren. It's an awesome moment.
I think I already know
there's not really much reason to explore, but if you take a look at the outhouse, then you'll find a pretty macabre surprise. Credit to Redditor Narnex2 for finding this one. It's pretty hard to see, but it's possible for some reason to shoot out the boards at the back of the outhouse to get a better look. As said by Reddit user Blood_Soldier, this is only one of a few outhouses where you can shoot out the back of them for some reason. And yeah, there's a corpse in there. Now, knowing Micah, who sucks and is a jerk, it wouldn't surprise us if he locked one of his gang in there to die, or maybe just took over the place and left the corpses where he found them. It's just a creepy detail all around, and a weirdly specific one too. The level of detail and care put into the world of Red Dead is just on another level, and we like this example for that. Next, over at number 5, here's an odd one. Have you ever noticed this cut-up tree outside of Valentine? Most people just pass right by it, but if you stop to take a look, then you'll probably notice how high up the tree actually was cut. As pointed out by Reddit user Zippy Zabadoo, these cuts from an axe look like they were actually done by someone twice the size of Arthur at least. Different users speculated on the possibility of this being connected to the giant skeleton or the giant in the blocked cave. Others talk about a possible Paul Bunyan connection. There are a lot of theories being thrown around. That is until one user named, and I'm not kidding, Ramalama Ding Dong 89 rolled in with some truth bombs. Oftentimes, you'd see trees like this that were cut down during the winter when a lot of snow has fallen, so that when spring rolled around, the snow would melt, and you'd see these trees that look like they were cut in half. So Rockstar probably used some old-time photos that showed half-chopped down trees and threw it into the game. It just goes to show the effort the Red Dead Mysteries community
I thought it was struck by lightning or something.
And all sorts of different interesting things that they
that does look like an
axe. For this, a weird tree immediately goes into wild
speculation. But on top of what he just said, that looks like a big ass fucking axe, like slash. Am I wrong?
Uncover like for this,
big ass
a weird tree immediately goes into wild speculation conspiracy territory before realizing that there's actual real historical context behind it. This really makes you think. Now over at number 4, there were some pretty impressive storms in Red Dead Redemption 2, and some users have gone above and beyond in an attempt to better understand their patterns.
Yeah, don't people storm? Yeah, people
storm
chase.
Now one Reddit user named insert random name here became a real cowboy storm chaser in the game and started hunting down storms to see if they led to any possible Easter eggs. That might sound outlandish, but remember what kind of game we're talking about here. The level of secrets is out of control, so it's not too hard to imagine that there might be something to all this. Now, they didn't end up finding an Easter egg, but they still managed to collect some pretty interesting data, like the fact that you can actually be struck by lightning if you're wearing the Viking helmet. He's pretty much found a way to guide the storms as well, which involves traveling in the correct direction to keep the sky as dark as possible. He managed to make an entire map showing where lightning will strike, and even though no Easter egg has been uncovered yet, this is still a really impressive level of dedication on display here. Again, this will be linked in the description down below. Now over at number 3, this is a secret that was discovered more than a year after the game came out. So not as recent as some of the other secrets on this list, but still a surprisingly long time for the Easter egg obsessed Rockstar community. Now, have you ever noticed these weird numbers in the loading screens for the game? Ever wonder what's the deal?
This is the fucking abandoned cave that I was just watching a video about. I just watched a video about this abandoned cave, and it made me want to watch this video and react to it.
Well, one Reddit user, Blue Velvet Frank, got in a little too deep and discovered that they were a basic coordinate system, with the latitude being letters and the longitude being numbers. Certain pictures make this harder to notice, but like many of them have these coordinates on them somewhere. So what's especially unusual about these numbers is that they don't correspond to the regular Red Dead 2 map. Instead, this notation is used for the fast travel map. In particular, particular, the one that you can use at the camp, that has the letters as latitude and numbers as longitude on it, but once again, there's an issue.
Really
it doesn't actually display the entire map. That's because the fast travel map is a train route map, so the coordinate system doesn't actually line up with it. You basically would have to take the system and apply it to the whole map to use it properly.
Wow,
so basically,
dude,
a Reddit user discovered an elaborate coordinate system that had been hidden in plain sight. What actual purpose it serves, nobody knows. It's just another example of the truly amazing level of detail Rockstar put into this game and the level of dedication for people to figure this stuff out. Next at number 2, let's talk about one of my favorite ones, switching to something a lot more straightforward. According to this VG247 article, it's possible to stare down a bear and it'll actually leave you alone. A lot like how people in real life are advised to stand still, make themselves look big, and don't run away when you actually encounter a bear. Apparently, it doesn't always work in Red Dead Redemption 2, and it probably doesn't always work in real life either, but it is possible, and that's a pretty awesome little thing to put in the game. If you actually manage to pull it off, you'll feel like a total badass.
That would be.
And down to number 1, we saved the best one for last. This is posted by Reddit user DareWonner. It's one of the more ridiculous tricks in the game. It's a little trick called vomit roping. Basically, you make yourself sick in game and walk off an edge while you're puking, and you'll actually take no fall damage. Why this works, nobody knows, but it's unquestionably effective, at least in the video that this user posted. Actually pulling off this trick might not be so easy. You gotta get it just right, but if you do manage to do it right, it looks absolutely ridiculous. To pull it off, you have to fall from your left side and drop down just as the animation for throwing up starts. The timing isn't easy, but once you manage to narrow it down, it probably isn't too hard to replicate. There's a reason they call it vomit roping. The puke literally looks like a rope that's falling down with you. It's just funny. It's disgusting and pointless.
This game is so
but it's what video games are all about. A cowboy puking and
look at this. You can just casually fucking. Oh, it's so amazing, bro.
And living to tell the tale.
This game's
the Red Dead series
amazing.
has seen its share of weird bugs, but this one's actually kind of useful and probably the dumbest. But those are some recent discoveries we wanted to highlight in Red Dead Redemption 2. Since it's been a long time since we've covered the game, we wanted to highlight some fun, new, weird stuff.
W video. Guys, hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm. I meant to say that in the intro, but look. Ow, son of a bitch. I'm done asking for a like if you enjoyed the video, because if you enjoyed the video, drop a motherfucking like for the YouTube algorithm, pretty please. I appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a good one. Peace out!